Greetings, my friend. We are all interested in the future, for that is where you and I are going to spend the rest of our lives. And remember, my friend, future events such as these will affect you in the future.
Interesting bit of history. Tesla engineers, they got their autonomous delivery robots up and going.
Mm-hmm.
And they thought it'd be fun to put a Mario theme kart song on it. And then they got sued by Nintendo.
Of course they did.
Yep. But I would actually wear that as a badge of honor. I got sued by Nintendo.
A very attainable goal.
That is true. A goal to be sued by somebody.
Well, specifically Nintendo.
Yeah.
But that's the first Netflix season of Arrested Development. There's a running gag about how getting a show on Netflix is a very attainable goal.
Mm. Have you guys ever been part of a show that got on Netflix? Like, in the production side?
Did an Apple TV show.
Okay.
Boys State.
Boys State? Okay.
Yeah, it's like a Model UN, but out here in Texas. And it's like a week-long like camp, and it's a bunch of frat dudes.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like a reality TV show?
Yeah, kind of. But it's like a multi-part series of them, like, and just it's kind of a, what is it, Lord of the Flies, where they like, it's just kind of, let's just put them in an environment and see what happens. There's activities and challenges, and it was okay.
Yep.
All right. Corey, you want to kick us off?
Sure. I suppose I can. I guess we're rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, as we're still figuring out the format of all this stuff, on the fly as we go. Yeah, last week was definitely robotics heavy. More so on the hardware. Obviously, we just barely scratched the surface.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just figured we kind of ping pong back and forth, and yeah, this week could be more entertainment focused, and so kind of stick me in the hot seat. But yeah, ultimately, I just wanted to bring things back to, well, I guess more from last week. It's kind of the how of just the advancements and things that's occurring.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, shift things back more to the why. And so anyway, yeah, just kind of, just talk briefly just about the current state of entertainment and where things are going. Ultimately, is what we're
Mm-hmm.
pointing to here. But yeah, just some historical, just highlight how this is a cyclical occurrence that we're going through. It's not doom and gloom like, so many folks in our industry are into. But I don't know, what is it, the black pill approach? Is that still what people are saying?
Oh, there's like 25 different pills now.
Oh, okay. We got a spectrum of pills.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, joy.
Okay. But yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it's still certainly a current that's running through the entertainment industry. Just the pessimism, but at the same time, I mean, just getting back from Cannes, and there's honestly a lot of optimism. There's good things happening, and people are upbeat, and looking forward to what's happening. But yeah, ultimately, I think that's what we can discuss tonight.
Yeah.
But
Could you elaborate more about where is that pessimism coming from?
well, I mean, on this, as it relates to what we're up to, I mean, one big aspect certainly is the AI revolution and things that are occurring. So just same as so many other industries, just robotics and AI's taking, well, really not robotics at this point in time, but yeah, AI's taking our jobs, and certain people are out of work, but yeah, it definitely is just the current Hollywood model that's evolving.
On that note, who's out of work?
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of folks in Hollywood, and I mean, some of the big production hubs in Georgia or things at this exact second. A lot of work has shifted overseas as far as big budget productions.
You're talking Europe, Asia, or just yes?
Yes, all the above.
Well, a lot of it's primarily, was it Ireland? Is that right?
Yeah, Ireland, the UK.
Mhm.
To
Yeah.
the incentives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. But yeah, and then there's a lot going on in East Europe as well, where everything's just super cheap. But yeah, it's a so at present, yeah, the state of the industry in the United States, there's a lot of negativity surrounding that, but that's definitely the glass half empty approach,
Yep.
where we're glass half full. And the optimism and the opportunity.
Yep.
And yeah, as alluded to, I mean, that this isn't an oddity, some blip that's just never occurred. It certainly has historical precedent for the ebbs and flows of the industry and just art in general.
Yeah.
So
It almost sounds just like as we talk about unraveling it, it's more of like a global just change. Like there's competition going on,
Mhm.
and maybe AI helps with those countries. Maybe the infrastructure is not there as before, and now it has there now with it. But it almost seems like this was a long time coming.
yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, I left Hollywood in 2017, and I mean the writing was on the wall at that point in time. Yeah, just how the industry's diversifying and decentralizing, and
Mm,
it just the way things used to be done. It's just it's changing. It doesn't have to be in Hollywood anymore. There are cheaper, more business friendly destinations and the crew bases and locations. There's all sorts of opportunity that's outside of SoCal for sure.
mm,
And there's definitely an element of maybe not AI changing it. I think that's a fairly new thing, but kind of seeing how the change has happened, since 2017, it's that technology is getting more affordable. Cameras that can shoot movie quality footage
Mhm.
are really accessible now, especially on the used market. But even new stuff, the price is coming down. Corey mentioned earlier decentralization. There's so many ways to get access to the knowledge and the training and the education to be a good camera operator, be a good sound guy, all the different things that go into assembling and producing a movie. It used to be that you had to be in the right circles and go to the right schools to do this stuff. But now I think it's more of a byproduct of just what the internet has done to access to information
mhm.
and distribution.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, just from the hardware. I mean, me speaking as an editor. I mean, if you were to be an editor back in the golden age, I mean, you had to go to LA to do these things because I mean, just the equipment and what it took to do this. Was crazy expensive.
Tell me, like, what was it and what is it now?
Oh, I honestly couldn't tell you what it was
I mean,
back in the day, but
the one that comes to mind for me is, do you remember the old red accelerator cards that you have to buy? It's like it's not enough for you to have a really good GPU. You had to have a specialized GPU that was really good at
Mhm.
decoding red raw. And if you wanted to play that back at any sort of decent speed
Yeah,
in any sort
Yeah.
of decent resolution, like this is like a $10,000 card that you had to have.
yeah.
That's
Well,
just a component. Like you have
Yeah.
probably $50,000 camera, right?
yeah. Well, and that I mean, you're talking about red. I mean, red is the front end of things getting cheaper. I mean, red was revolutionary. I
Mm.
would my mind was people splicing film.
Oh
You know
yeah.
that's where I was. But but yes, I mean, Red, I mean, that was still crazy expensive. I mean,
Yeah.
when they first hit the scene, their little slogan was 4K for 4K, and that didn't quite pan out. I think the cameras were far more expensive than that, but still within the realm of, hey, this is the layperson can get their hands on a Red One, and yeah, I mean, but before the Red One, it was the 5D Mark II,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yep.
yeah, I mean, just that little technological innovation of that's kind of my upstart, but um, but yeah, like I said, really just putting very high quality gear into the little man's hands, and now it's just talent is going to rise to the surface.
Yeah.
To where now we have uh, YouTube, Mr. Beast or the Paul brothers, whatever. Like I mean, these guys they're huge, and it's just a couple dudes that picked up a camera and I'm just going to make content, and people latched onto it.
And even on outside of the huge scale, it's a very reasonable career to have now. Like
Mhm.
it's not feasible to go work for a news station anymore. Um, but working for a small YouTube team
Yeah.
that puts out 5 videos a week on whatever the niche is, I mean, like that's a real
Mhm.
job that tons of people have now.
Yeah.
And they pays as well as a Hollywood job.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
different for sure. I mean, Hollywood's definitely. I mean, when you land the job, I mean, you get paid very well.
Okay.
But then once it's over with, now you're unemployed and you got to go
And that's where
got to
like
go
the
find the next gig and this, that, and the other. But I mean, yeah, if you're working for a YouTube channel, I mean, you get healthcare and X, Y, and Z. Now, I mean, the unions provide healthcare and all that, but it's still it's different. Um, but yeah, just how that's evolved fairly recently.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's like I was saying, that it's not new. This is I don't know. I mean, the technological advancements, but I suppose ultimately though, what I was pointing out was just more of and back to just the our thesis here of new arc and connecting with the individual.
Yes.
Um, just how that's drifted over time from the entertainment space. You can see that. I think Rotten Tomatoes started in the '90s. I think is when they actually got going, but I could be wrong there. But I mean that everybody knows Rotten Tomatoes now. But you got your critic score and your audience participation score.
Yeah.
But yeah, how how those things have split, and I mean, yeah, I'm certainly not the first one to come up with this idea, but I certainly see it. But this
Mhm.
the whole thing of when critic and audience when they align, culture and society, so many other things, it, it's in a good spot. Society's in a healthy spot. Yeah, and you can see that from the golden age of Hollywood. There's kind of three different eras that Hollywood's kind of broken into. But yeah, the golden era is kind of the 30s to the 50s into the 60s a little bit, depending on how you slice or dice it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're things like Gone with the Wind or um, it's it cleaned up at the Academy Awards.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think I had to go and look, but I think I mean for inflation and all the above, I mean that movie made $4 billion.
That's
I'm
what I looked up. Yeah.
okay, yeah, $4 billion. That's just insane. Like there's nothing. People are wigging out because hey, we made $1 billion movie internationally. It's an international $1 billion, but that Gone with the Wind wasn't. It wasn't in China.
No. No.
like, this was a phenomenon.
Yeah.
That is, on the scale that we can't comprehend to today.
And that wasn't even. You didn't have screens in their pockets. You didn't have screens in their homes. You didn't
Mhm.
have screens probably a lot of places. So you're just saying, like, if there was a theater, if there was a screen, it was packed.
Yeah, yeah, and obviously, I mean, back then there was far fewer movies. There was absolutely far less choice.
Yes.
Absolutely, I'm not negating that, but I guess back to my point of audience and critic, like it was aligned of the golden era of Hollywood because we're coming fresh off of or in World War II, and we're coming out of World War II, and
Yep.
America's hopeful and optimistic, and we have this civic pride and like stuff happening. But then it stuff started to wane in the 50s and 60s, and we can certainly dive deeper into this in a little bit, but um, towards the tail end of the 50s, it's another I'd say caution flag
Mm-hmm.
where you see that times are changing.
Yep.
When stuff starts becoming self-referential or nostalgic.
Back in my day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
times are changing, and it's the death of an era
Yeah.
and the birth of something new. So for I believe it was 1950. I mean, one of my favorite movies, A Lonely Place. Humphrey Bogart. It's a fantastic movie,
Mm.
but it is about him. He's a writer, and it's just kind of him looking back on his career and just kind of you know he's become an alcoholic, and it's just sad, and but it's a great movie. But and again, we can circle back around to all this, but of the self-referential aspect, we're going through that now, or we were several years ago. Take Quentin Tarantino and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's the
Yes.
same thing. It's the exact same thing. And there's been a couple other movies since then. Even, I mean, the Spielberg biography that he did, the Fablemans, the
Star
what
Wars.
was it? Yes, certainly from the nostalgia aspect.
Mhm.
Yes, but yeah, the was it Babylon? Same thing. It's just like we've reached a point of I don't know, an aspect of hopelessness that there's nothing new to be told, and so like all we can do is look back on how things used to be, and and to that end, I mean, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I think that's Tarantino's best film. Like I said,
Mm.
A Lonely Place. That's I love that film, but it certainly is. It's an indicator to me of just like I said, it's the death of an era and the rebirth of something new.
Yeah.
So the '60s are famously known for just nothing happened in the '60s in cinema. I mean, obviously there are some exceptions here and there, but broadly speaking, it was just it's widely accepted that just nothing was happening. But it wasn't toward the end of the '60s, into the '70s. So like Bonnie and Clyde was like the end of the '60s.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was in the '70s when Spielberg and Scorsese and those guys, the new rebels, kind of hit the scene, and like we got something new to tell.
Yeah.
And but then you kind of look at it again from societally speaking, what was going on in the U.S. and Vietnam and all these things, and so it was very grungy. It's very um, I don't know. I mean, people know these movies. I don't have to explain that, but yeah, and then just how that's continues to evolve into the '80s was also kind of a dull period, at least as far as the critics are concerned. The critics did not care for the '80s.
Mm.
However, the audience did. That was the birth of the action flicks. So Die Hard and the Rocky sequels and I mean, it's Rambo. Like let's have some fun, blow some stuff up, and
Little Chuck Norris going on.
yeah. The people ate it up, and Back to the Future and all that great stuff. And the '90s trickling along, and stuff starts to come back. We start getting a little more optimism and follow the Berlin Wall and all this fun stuff. But
Right.
but yeah, but they start to converge again. audience and critic, and so you got Shawshank, you got Forrest Gump, you got Jurassic Park, whatever. Um, and but that's just these different eras. It's just kind of marched down the field, and then there's all sorts of other variables that played a role. So I mean, the Paramount decree hurt way back in the day when the studios couldn't own theaters, and that was part of the original golden era, kind of falling apart a bit. And so I mean, there's a lot of things that go into that. But where we see ourselves now, it's a shadow of things that we've already seen, and it's not just cinema either. That stuff is happened through art.
Yeah.
I'm not a literary buff, but I know that's occurred there in books. I know that's occurred in paintings. There used to be, there was this gold standard of
Yeah.
you know objective beauty and perfection that all the masters strove for. Then the Impressionists came along and kind of rebelled, which
So wait.
yeah.
So are you guys telling me that NFTs are not a high mark of art?
I mean, I think that's up for debate.
What's my Discord, little guy?
Oh yeah, his Discord profile is a bored ape.
A Bored Ape?
It was an ironic thing that we did back in the day of just I'm just gonna copy as many as I can just to
I love it.
yeah.
I mean, they're holding their value, I've been hearing.
I paid a
Mhm.
I paid a click and save.
Mhm.
How much I invested in that? Yeah, click and save PNG. But yeah. Anyway, so I'm kind of just give a little history lesson. But
Yeah.
I mean, you can certainly dive deep into all that stuff. But ultimately, circling back around, the opportunity again when the golden era ended, Hollywood didn't go away. Film didn't just die. Like new blood came in, the next generation, and had a story to tell. And that is what's occurring now. It's just it's a different flavor. And so with robotics and AI and everything that's occurring, it's again just optimism. I mean, you can look at it one of two ways, and yeah, sadly, there's a lot of people who've taken that doom approach, but that's certainly not my attitude.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I'm taking away from this conversation is there's an inflection point coming. There's a new wave
Mhm.
coming, and it's a call not just for the people innovating or wanting to bring about new things, but it really is a call for the public. Like this is a
Mhm.
time. This is a time to get your voice heard. And like, what do you want to see? Don't
Yeah.
just saturate your LinkedIn, or not your LinkedIn, but your Netflix.
Don't do that either.
Yeah. Don't be like me. Yeah, but your Netflix, it's just don't go and saturate yourself with everything. Let's be picky and
Yeah, well, and that's that is where I mean either the traditional studio system learns the easy way or the hard way. I mean the people. I mean, I know we touched on that last week of just being people should be vocal and stand up and say what you want and fight for it.
Yep.
But at the same time, again, go look at Rotten Tomatoes. People aren't shy about it. The
Yep.
people, yeah, their opinions are out there and they're very, very loud. But yeah, and so I don't know until something new, whatever that is, emerges to fill that need.
Mhm.
There's certainly going to be more and more pain along the way. You can fight it or embrace it, but
Yes.
and so that the people that get caught in the crossfire, if you're just a friendly casualty, unfortunate. I mean, that's awful. I feel terrible for that. But at the same time, and the power brokers that are, we mentioned again, Mando, Grogu, whatever. It's just nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's very sad. Again, we touched on that a lot in our little prologue episode of Star Wars and things. But it's yeah, and but again, like the writing was on the wall. Everybody
Mhm.
knew this. Everybody saw this coming a mile away, and now we got to pretend to be surprised about the box office results, and nobody's surprised.
But yeah, it seems to me it's like the decision makers. Yeah, the decision makers are the ones that got to their position by riding a wave and not by innovating. And so what ends up happening is you have this kind of like Mandalorian and Grogu, for example. It's like they just made the movie because they're like, I know what sells movies, having a marketable character,
Mm-hmm.
not a good story or an engaging movie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like just like even the marketing of the movie, the title itself, Mandalorian and Grogu. I do not care about this.
Mm-hmm.
If it was just the Mandalorian movie, I'd be a lot more interested. It's like, oh, this is a storyline continuation of
Mm-hmm.
this pre-established series. So, okay, like that's at least a little bit more
Yeah.
interesting to me. But instead they want to like, oh no, we have to make sure that the people know Baby Yoda is in this movie, so put it in the title.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like
Yeah. Well,
that's where the disconnect is, right? Like
yeah.
the
Well,
decision
and
makers are
mm-hmm.
doing it the old way.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, season 1 of that show. I mean, it was a phenomenon. Season 2 trickled off. Season 3, ouch. But yeah, I mean, to your point, I mean, everybody loved Grogu. Yes, it was Baby Yoda, but it was natural.
Yeah.
It was just it was a natural byproduct of like we made a good story. It was endearing. We just took that from Lone Wolf and Cub, yeah, Japanese storyline. But yeah, it is yeah. But so to that, and back to the original point, just connecting with people. You got to connect with people, and that's where I mean, New Arc and the point of this podcast, the point of everything we're up to just try to share that passion and point things in a certain direction. Hopefully, we can put our finger on the scale in a certain way. But yeah, and then again, embracing technology, embracing um, the inevitable.
Mhm.
These things are occurring; they are here. So what are we going to do about it? We
Yep.
can throw a hissy fit, or we can, I mean, who's to say in our world, again, Blake, we're from the that traditional model, but who's to say that Joel, you don't have a story to tell that you couldn't before,
Mm. Yeah.
and so yeah, so people are upset because stuff's changing and they might be out of work, but well now Joel, you got an opportunity,
Yeah.
and so and I mean it's ultimately just that stuff is pointing towards where people are just more or everybody's going to have to become a producer,
Mhm.
and you can't just be a specialist in certain aspects. I mean, again, big budget stuff, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, there will be a role to fill. I specialize in the lighting that occurs on foliage or whatever role you might happen to have. Like that, you'll find a role and a spot for you. But
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think you touched on it earlier, right? It's the natural evolution of what decentralization causes is the devaluation of
hmm
some of these skills. But then what that means is that more people get to do it.
hmm
And then what ends up happening is the real storytellers and the real artists are the ones that rise to the top
yep,
because they're the ones that maybe didn't even dare to dream about being a filmmaker before, but now it's a lot more.
yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and that certainly is part and parcel to Hollywood. I mean, it's always been if you're in the club or you're not. I mean, that's I'm not breaking any any big trade secret here. That's a given to any knucklehead walking down the street. That's how it works. But Again, talking from an editor's perspective, I mean, it used to be Avid systems, and if you
Mm-hmm.
didn't use Avid, you're not a part of the club. Get out of here. Well, how do I use an Avid? Well, you got to spend a bunch of money. You got to come do this. You got to come do that. No thanks.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so I mean the whole union system that's definitely how that's set up to be. Once you're in the club, you made it. But yeah, it's definitely on the grand scheme more opportunity for more people, and yes, for good stories, good connection to rise to the top.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, just sticking on Mandalorian and Grogu for a second. Like, I don't think John Favreau woke up in the morning dreaming about selling Baby Yoda plushies. I think he woke up dreaming about
Yeah,
telling a story.
yeah,
But then the powers that be kind of hijack that.
yeah. No, I mean, absolutely. None of this is to throw shade on the current creatives or anything like that. It's like any other bureaucracy. It just kind of it becomes self perpetuating just to self perpetuate.
Yeah.
And but again, when it well, I mentioned earlier, just you go back to the early masters in art. Their whole thing was to strive for perfection. Just like I mean, carving David out of a piece of rock. It just the sinews and this, that, and the other, the anatomy, everything Leonardo did. It's amazing, but
Yep.
it's striving for this perfection of I think objective truths. Like here's a standard of beauty that I'm striving for, but then where the current production pipeline and schedules and this, that, and the other, it's just like cut paste. We got to go because we got our ROI that we got to hit. And so we cut corners in all sorts of ways that we shouldn't. We already have a release date before we even finish the script. Everything's backwards.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, no, you need to have a story to tell. What are we doing? It's just like, oh no, we think Blade. Yeah, Blade. That's one that comes to mind as a recent example. Yeah, they had that one slated for production and this, that, and the other, and all sorts of people sitting around and drawing paychecks because like we got to get rocking and rolling.
Yep.
But it never got the green light. I mean, it got greenlit, but as far as truly when they go into principal photography and all this, that, and the other, it just never even occurred. But they spent a ton of money, and like because they were just we have to get this out, even though there wasn't a story to be told. So
Mm.
yeah, it's completely upside down in my opinion in that regard. Where again, the masters they could spend decades on a piece of art, and I realize that I'm not saying that movies should be made that way today. Again, I understand economics and all sorts of things play a substantial role, but when you flip everything completely on its head, it doesn't work,
Yeah.
and you no longer connect with the audience because of that.
For sure. And I had this really interesting conversation yesterday. And like I'm gonna zoom out and like look at other examples and then zoom back here to see if I can like interpret a little bit more about where we're going and how to interpret like what you're saying and with the arc where we're at now. But I was using calories like for the longest period of time. I mean, just in the last 500 years, people really struggle getting enough calories to eat.
Mm.
And so
Mhm.
we're bouncing, between famine and like where we are globally, and maybe a little bit of learning through, crop rotations is a big deal in Europe. But we're always in between just having enough. And then the Industrial Revolution happens and the Haber-Bosch process happens. So now we have fertilizer anywhere in the world if you have electricity and air. And then starting around in the World War I, World War II era, we actually started having more calories than we actually need every day. And we have just shot up exponentially. So there are pockets of the world that doesn't have enough calories. But for the average modern society, the drive that we have and we've had for, since the dawn of humanity,
Mhm.
getting enough, it's now actually saying, hey, stop. I've had too much.
Mhm.
And the equation is completely different. So our entire like biological makeup in the say gluttony, right, is an addiction, right?
Mhm.
And that's maybe that wasn't a big deal back in the day for a lot of people. They weren't struggling with that thing because they didn't have enough.
Yeah.
But now then the story is different and it's recent.
Mhm.
And I think also like, I pulled this chart up here. Over in like the 1960s we were talking about, you see that TV air starts taking over from the
Mhm.
traditional radio. So it looks like, with radio and like newsprint, people had about 2 hours a day. They would, maybe in the evening, they would sit down and listen to a show. And then sometime in the 60s, we went from 2 to 6 and 6 to 7. And then in the early 2000s, the mini, that proliferated. And
Mhm.
now in mobile technology, I think we're right now, I'm like looking up here, we're at 12 hours a day of media intake for the
Yeah.
averaging, person, which makes sense.
Mhm.
Most people are, awake more than 12 hours and they're on their phone constantly. I mean, I was just on my phone looking that up.
I mean, it's just the mere fact that we have to talk about screen time and what people's average screen time is. I mean, mine is very high, and I'm not that bad about it. You
Right.
know?
Yeah. And that actually circles back to, I know like Corey and I
And
are
it's your job. So
Well, yes.
being a parent, I notice like when my kid watches media and he can't watch everything. You only can watch certain things because there's a response, if it's, a lot of parents talk about high stem, low stem, mid stem, whatever it is. So there is a response you get. There is a biological response to watching something. So if I get what you guys are saying is if I can get as much as I possibly want 12 hours a day if I'm an average American. Why don't we start paying attention to what that's doing to us? And
Mhm.
like, what are we getting from it? Are we becoming more human or more MCP? I think we were talking. That's the age
NPC.
we.
But yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All good.
Yeah.
All good.
Different acronym,
Yep.
but
But
same
yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's certainly all true. And I mean, entertainment is still it is still just going to continue to increase. And I realize that, I mean, there's a narrow goalpost that we're aiming for here.
Yep.
Because I mean,
New arc.
yes,
Yep.
yes, I feel like somewhat talking out of both sides of our mouths, but really not. Yeah, I mean, especially when we start talking about robotics, and that there is so much of that. Well, as I just got done talking, like we have a big issue with just this fragmentation. Everybody's just, it's the beauty's in the eye of the beholder. They're all just kind of, there's so much content there's all this stuff. Everybody's got their own flavor.
Yep.
We don't have that aspect to be able to talk around the water cooler about Seinfeld anymore. Everybody watched Seinfeld. Nobody's watching the 15 shows that everybody recommends on Netflix.
Right.
That's just not occurring. But and where we're talking about robotics and this new wave, which paradoxically to me it's more individualistic. It's even more individualistic.
Yes.
But at the same time, the broader narrative on certain things, again, it's catered to you, but there's still an overall experience that we can have together.
Yes.
That is not happening.
The cultural element.
Yes, yeah. No, I saw. Yeah, Spielberg was talking about it just recently, just the other day. He was like, he's on another podcast talking about this, but yeah, he was talking about going to the theaters and how that's a communal experience and this, that, and the other.
Yep.
I just like, no offense, but I don't know what world where he's coming from. I can see that back in the day, and it certainly was, but nowadays, I'm just like, who am I talking to? If we went to the movies, I'd be talking to you two.
Right.
Like I'm not experiencing this with Joe Blow that I don't know. Who's talking to strangers in the movie theater? That's just not occurring. But if it was a participatory act, you're
Mm.
active, you're engaged, you're having to help one another. It's an escape room.
Mm.
There's something that you are doing together as opposed to just turning the lights off.
Yep.
And then again, after the movie's over, then you go to dinner and you talk about it with your buddies. It's not a big social event. Again, I mean, maybe it is for his generation. I really don't know. That's obviously his nostalgia and what he's attaching to. But I mean, it certainly isn't for us.
Yeah.
It just we went to the movies and again they turned the lights off and I sat back and the only reason we're there is because the only reason I'm there is because it is a true spectacle that I have to see in Dolby, and I'm not going to get this at home. But if it wasn't, I'm just going to wait till it comes out on streaming.
Right.
That's where it falls for certainly everybody in my circle. That's the metric. Blake, would you disagree in any capacity?
I went to the movies this weekend and I saw Project Hail Mary.
Excellent.
Okay.
And what I noticed was weird about the theater that I went to was that the theater was really tiny, but it was full.
Yep.
You know, and so it was weird because I'm used to movie theaters being empty, but
Mhm.
the like social aspect of it came from after the movie when me and the person that I went with, we went and hung out for I don't know, another 2 hours after that.
Mhm.
Got
But
got some coffee, had lunch.
but it was your buddy that you went with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I just think that the I feel like the experience of the theater is making a comeback. Just seeing the amount of people there,
Y-
it's just not going to be like the. It makes sense to me that it's probably not going to be these giant movie theaters unless it is something like a Dolby, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, the IMAX thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean to that, I mean well, you said you went. When was the last movie you went to before Project Hail Mary?
Dune 2.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So that's kind of up. You brought up Project Hail Mary.
Mhm.
I think maybe our first episode on this.
Yep.
But it yeah. So that's certainly an outlier for on that aspect. But as well, yeah, I think at least the nostalgia thing. Well, I mean, Spielberg did that better than anybody. You're talking about, I mean, Jaws. I mean, that was a thing. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen that, but
Yep.
go on YouTube and watch video of people watching Jaws in theaters. It's hysterical. People just freaking out, losing their minds, and everybody's just screaming and holding on to the person next to them.
well,
It's awesome.
when you bring that up, that reminds me of what was that Minions movie that all the young guys were dressing up in
Oh,
suits
yeah,
and
yeah.
going to and like that was
Mhm.
what the event was and
Yep.
or even actually no, the last movie I went to see in theaters was the Minecraft movie because of all the memes about people freaking out over chicken jockey and
Huh.
but like there's something to that, right? It's like that has that level of
Yes.
audience freak out, but that's being shut down. Like they do not want
Mhm.
you doing that.
Yes. No, absolutely. Well, I was that goober kid in high school going to see Star Wars and bringing lightsabers and
Mhm.
yeah, let's have some fun. But yeah, then that stuff gets squashed and but yeah, dressing up in suits and yeah, that stuff is an absolute blast. But
Yeah.
again, now it's a participatory act.
Mhm.
You are engaged, you're being silly and just having a good time with your friends. Um
It reminds me of the good old days of Alamo Drafthouse. It's like
Mhm.
you could go and you could see a movie regularly, but they also had all these showings where it's like, "Hey, we're gonna show The Room again," and
Mhm.
it's encouraged that you shout out all of the inside jokes and memes, and we're gonna even give you little spoons to throw at the screen, um, and you will all just know the right time because
Yeah.
it's a cultural event that you just know about this movie, and
No,
you're coming here to do these things.
no, absolutely. No, I mean, those things, like the Fathom events, and I mean, when I was in L.A., I'd frequent the Tarantino's theater, the New Bev. It was awesome. I mean, he would. There would just be these themes every month. So October was, it's just all horror movies or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like I whenever he did like a Western theme, I mean, I was there and getting to watch Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in the original print, the original 35 millimeter film. It was glorious. All the scratches and everything. I just ate it up. It was wonderful. But yeah, to that end, yeah. I mean, there are people in there that. Okay, again, I'm now I am sitting next to somebody that's seen this movie a dozen times already, and we can have a
Mhm.
just a wonderful time together. But yeah, culturally, just we don't do that anymore for new stuff.
Well, and I also think it is kinda to Joel's last point of the abundance of it all,
Hmm.
right? Is like, you used to have to, you know, make time to go do these things because you
Hmm.
cared about those things, but
Yep.
our relationship with digital storytelling is very much an on-demand thing now,
Yeah.
and, I think it is funny that you brought up the whole available calories, um, analogy, 'cause I had a very long conversation about this yesterday, um, about that exact topic, and it does make sense to me of, like, yeah, the in many ways, it is the best time to be a human being in human history in terms of having available calories and not having to worry about all the things that were so perilous. Like, even like it's one of the most peaceful times in human history too. There's very little war, but
Yep.
the abundance of information and our relationship to that information and our relationship to those calories and our relationship to the abundance of story out there. That's the main issue. The real issue is not that the abundance is there. The issue is that we are hardwired to survive scarcity and we are in a
Yes.
non-scarce environment now. And I think we're all just figuring out how to deal with that.
Hmm.
And I think we're talking about that, and to tie in where I want to go. There's a story like whenever the Germans were bombing London or preparing to bomb London.
Mhm.
uh, all of the who's who in Parliament. They're just really worried. They're like, okay, it's going to be anarchy. We're not going to have people like police officers are not there, courts are not in session. We're not, people are just going to go crazy and loot and do crazy. And they had all time low record like burglaries. Everything was like even mental health like was at the low all time low. And these are real numbers you can pull up. Is because people were like really connected. What does it actually mean to be human? I have to watch out for my neighbor. Like we have to do this together. Like there's not enough to go around.
Mhm.
How are we surviving? I have a real enemy. I have the it's so simple. And I think that's maybe something that we're talking about right here, even entertainment. How are we feeding ourselves to get back to that
Hmm.
social exchange? Like, what does it mean to be human? Does it mean to be like stuffing my face full of calories and just being quote unquote entertained? Or is it, hey, how am I getting closer to who I am and how am I getting closer to my people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's where back to some my original points of the whole the audience critic thing.
Yep.
The critic has its role, but we've lost faith in it. We've lost trust.
Yep.
And
Mm,
so
yeah.
when it comes to how many calories you should eat, I'm not going to listen to you,
Yeah.
Mr. Nutritionist. You
Yeah. The
or
lobbyist paid you off.
yeah, and so I mean now it truly is it's the inverse. Again, people will go see a movie because it's dubbed, the critic has dubbed it rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like, okay, well, the critic hated it, so that must mean I love it.
Yep.
Like, they are no longer that arbiter to sift through what they should be, because again, that's our whole point. There's so much out there. I need somebody to dwindle it down for me. Tell me what I should watch. Help me out here. But they've lost that, and so that's the general health of a society and culture. It's
Yeah.
just we're in a tricky spot.
Or in the role of the critic, kind of doubling down on being a critic rather than a tastemaker or a gatekeeper,
Mhm.
right? Is like, if I don't even think I could name one film critic,
No.
but back in the day, I bet I could, if I know that, like, I'm reading in the newspaper, like, oh yeah, this guy, all of the stuff he says to go see are all bangers. I'm gonna trust him, and I have this weird parasocial relationship with this guy on the newspaper.
Mhm.
But now it's just like I don't really,
Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't name one critic, outside of maybe some vocal YouTube content creators, but
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it used to be. I mean, again, the low hanging fruit would be, Siskel and Ebert. Everybody knew those guys.
Yep.
Again, whether or not you agreed with them on the, you know, obviously, people's tastes are different, and sometimes they win, sometimes they don't. But that was a household name or
Mm.
a household duo. Everybody knew them. So, but yeah, but since then, who
Yeah.
is there?
Yeah.
and then even something that Joel said the other week has made me think, and this is kind of reminding me of it now, of the, like, it seems like there is a dynamic between the on-demand content and the really good stories, because, like, a really good story, a really good movie, or a theater play, or just heck, even a really good YouTube video is, like, going to make me realize something about myself, and I'm gonna, like, bring that into myself. Whereas the on-demand nature of content now is so in the kind of slot machine nature of just the endless vertical video feed, where you're just like, next video, next video, next video, next
Yeah.
video. And
Mhm.
it does tap into what you said earlier about am I just being entertained, or am I actually, like, engaging with a story? And, I think engaging with that story is a lot more in tune with what it means to be human, rather than just infinite scrolling, taking up time, hitting the kind of lizard brain within your human brain of just endless scrolling, right?
Yeah. And there's a author I like a lot. His name is John Eldridge, and he says this, and I think it's very clarifying. Am I getting relief or am I getting restoration? And to how I interpret that in this conversation, as relief goes, all right, I'm taking my mind off. Like my sugar's giving me a little bit of energy. It's bad for me, but the sugar's giving me a little energy, so I'm not feeling so tired.
Mhm.
Crash is going to be bad, and I'm going to have to pay for it later. That's relief. And restoration goes, okay, I'm a biological being. Am I tired? Do I need to be inspired? Do I need this and this and this? Like when I did not feel like working out, sometimes like at the time, like I would 25 to like 30, I like loved Iron Man. I never was gonna run him because I'm not inspired to do that, but like the act and all that and like the people who I knew like did that. So I would watch an Iron Man video and man, I was pumped. I mean, I knew some people would watch um, fights before going and working out. But it's like I wasn't like delaying gratification or like just getting my mind off of something. I was like, I want to be inspired and I can get in there. And that gave me energy. But it's the like relief versus restoration, moving toward who you are and like being human or just getting the cheap calories.
Yeah. And then that even kind of plays into your yeah, that kind of even plays into having just engaging with content that interacts with your emotions.
Yeah.
That's something very innate in being human
Right.
versus content that is just hitting your dopamine receptors and hitting that reward center. I
Mhm.
scroll, funny video. I scroll, funny video, right? Just the endless, you know, scroll, payoff, moving on versus actual story, that's actually hitting your emotions.
For sure. Yeah. And I think that's what we're excited about. And like Corey's like sounding the bell while they're like, hey, it's time for the
Yeah.
new storytelling. And this is an opportunity to get back to what that the calling is, the campfire, as we talk about it.
Mm.
Well, I mean, to your point there, Joel, relief, restoration. I would hypothesize. It just hit me now, but I'm into to that. I'd say one of the current issues that the 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 industry is going through is that they're trying to combat that dopamine hit
Yep.
as opposed to doing something different. They're trying to fight somebody else that's going to best them at that game.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that Hollywood can compete with TikTok or Instagram.
No.
And so, but that is what they're giving us. They're giving us that
Yeah.
that short-sighted blips of the dopamine hit when what I want is to walk away in tears. I
Yeah.
want something to touch me deep down,
Yep.
hit my soul, and it resonate and stick with me for 20 some years. I mean those movies that have stood the test of time.
I mean,
You know,
we're still talking about Lord of the Rings.
yeah,
We're still
Yeah.
talking about Star Wars.
yeah, It's a
yeah.
Wonderful Life.
I'm still talking about Dune 2, but
Yeah, yeah,
Well,
yeah. But yeah, but go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just like as you talk, like in my head, I'm thinking like then what does that new evolution of robotic inspired storytelling take? And like something in the back of my head, I'm like, man, as a father of somebody that's a 5-year-old, it would be amazing, as he asked me, like, why is stealing bad? And why is this bad? And tell me why do you love mom? Like, there's not a lot of media that we're around and we can watch it, 'cause especially at 5. But even like, I can just think of like, what's a good character nowadays that I can like say, this is why we do the right thing, and you fill in the blank of the
Mhm.
situation. So like inspiration is at all time low, I think, in media.
Mm.
Yeah.
And like I want good stories so I can have good conversations with my family. And like we're watching Pursuit of Jade. It is the first Chinese show I've ever seen, and my wife has been like, I didn't even know I wanted you to do that. Like how he does X, Y, and Z, or just like he looks at her when she smiles, like random little tiny things. But these are conversations because they spent a long time on developing the characters, and like it's a pretty good show. But like those conversations can actually happen. Like, oh, I want that,
Mhm.
or that is good. Can you try that?
Mhm.
But yeah, and it's very rare that even Project Hail Mary was a really fantastic show.
Mhm.
But I can relate to some of the things, but like I'm not like, hey wife, do you want to go and like meet an alien, just go and like be a hermit on their planet?
Mhm.
It's fantastic. There's things in there, but like I want that's where the robotics side comes in. I was like, if I can be immersed in this with my family, think about that. Think how we draw closer together. And those are the stories where I want Newark to try to empower creators to to bring back. And I think that's kind of what you guys are saying, right? Like
Yeah.
we've missed the boat.
Yeah. Well, the combination
Yeah.
of all of that. Yeah, the tech advancements,
Yep.
the upheaval, the cyclical nature of all this. Like there's a rebellion or whatever's occurring, and so it's that perfect storm of this opportunity to merge the two. And again, I see this just being inevitable.
Yep.
So I mean, again, you're already implementing this stuff on a day-to-day basis, and so
Yes.
it only stands to reason. It's just like, okay, well, let's make some cool stories out of the deal.
Yes.
And but then again, it gets them up off their butts, off the couch, and
Yes.
engaged. I'm not saying you got to go run a marathon with your robot. I'm not saying that, but I can put some sort of autonomy within it.
Well, I mean, maybe the answer is what we talked about earlier. The movie theater as a community experience, but instead of a silver screen, it's
Mhm.
a space to go encounter a story
Mhm.
with actors and robot characters and, this kind of unique experience that can be powered by, emotionally driven performance.
Mhm. No, absolutely. And you mentioned the Star Wars freighter last week or whatever. Yeah. No, I'd go get involved. And that's to me is kind of the ultimate aspiration. So I mean that's what we're maybe not the ultimate, but I think that's kind of at least as far as how far we've looked into the future, if you will. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of the epitome there. But all the other steps in between, again, of robotics being used in production and entertainment as we currently know it. And then robotics being used on Broadway, robotics being used in murder mystery weekend getaways. Like there's, or again, escape rooms or cruise ships. I mean, the list is it's endless.
Yep.
But just there's a story to be told on every corner. Just go do it.
Mhm.
So yeah, I say just people need to hop to it.
And to wrap up, I think what the call of action is, if you're building hardware, please contact us. We'd love to have you part of our network. If you're a creator and who wants to create the next generation of content for what we're talking about, autonomous robotics and AI and convergence into the real world, give us a contact. And if you're an investor who wants to allocate capital, give us a contact. We would love to put you part of the network here.
It's better than my clothes. Mine was going to be I don't know. It's going to be a de-pantsing.
Oh,
Joel, you, yeah. So last week, yeah, I gave you a call out. You're supposed to watch the game.
Ooh.
yeah.
Here's your dunce cap.
Yep. I earned it.
This is radio. So he's wearing it right now, ladies and gentlemen.
hmm
Yep.
So just to confirm, you did not watch the game.
I confirm.
Mm.
I cannot. I can confirm nor deny,
Mm.
but I definitely cannot deny watching the game. I'll forever be shamed in media.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're sweating profusely, Joel.
You have 1 week to
You're
regain
shaking.
your honor.
What?
This is what shame looks like.